I'm Carla, and this is my story. After college, I dove headfirst into the working world. My parents had drummed it into my head since I was knee-high. Kids gotta stand on their own 2 feet. So there I was, fresh diploma in hand, hustling to find a job while my classmates were still nursing hangovers from grad parties. Landed a decent gig at a marketing firm. Nothing flashy, but it paid the bills. Found a tiny apartment too, more of a shoebox with a kitchenette, really. But it was mine, and that meant something. Meanwhile, my kid sister Lily, she was still living it up at home, not a care in the world. Mom and Dad fawned over her, like she was the second coming or something. "Lily doesn't need to work," Mom would say, stroking my sister's perfect blonde hair. "She's got her looks. That's her gift to the world." Don't get me wrong, I love Lily. But Christ, the difference in how we were raised. It was like night and day. I was pushed to study, get good grades, prepare for a career. Lily? She was told she was pretty. That was enough, apparently. One time, I overheard Dad talking to Lily. "Sweetheart, you don't need to worry about college or jobs. Just focus on your beauty pageants. That's your future." Lily ate it up, of course. Why wouldn't she? She'd been in those damn pageants since she could walk. Wanted to be a model, she said. Until she found out models actually had to, work. Wait, they have to diet, and exercise, and learn languages? Lily had whined. That sounds hard, I don't want to do that. So instead, she just existed, at home, on our parents' dime. Me? I was busting my ass at work, pinching pennies, building up a little nest egg. It wasn't much, but it was mine. I'd earned it. I tried not to let it get to me, how different things were for us. But some nights, alone in my crappy apartment, eating microwave dinners and going over budget spreadsheets, yeah, it stung a bit. But that was life, right? Some people get the easy road, some don't. I told myself I was stronger for it, more prepared for the real world. If only I'd known what was coming. It was a Tuesday when everything changed. Just a regular Tuesday. I remember because I'd treated myself to takeout, a rare splurge. I was sitting on my secondhand couch, trying to ignore the springs digging into my back, when my phone rang. Mom's voice on the phone was shaky. "Carla, honey, you need to come home. It's your father. He's had a stroke. We need your help." The drive to my parents' house was a blur of streetlights and worry. When I arrived, Mom looked like she'd aged 10 years overnight. Dad was in the hospital, stable, but weak. "I can't do this alone, Carla," Mom said, clutching my hand. "I'm working overtime to cover the medical bills. Can you help with your father's care?" Of course, I agreed. What else could I do? I started sending money for a nurse and spending my weekends at my parents' house. It was exhausting, juggling work and family responsibilities, but I managed. Then came the kicker. "Carla," Mom said one Sunday evening as I was packing up to head back to my apartment. "Why don't you move back home for a few months? It would save us the nurse fees and you'd be here all the time." I had my doubts. Big ones. But looking at Mom's exhausted face and thinking of Dad in his hospital bed, I caved. "Okay, Mom, I'll do it." So I packed up my little apartment, said goodbye to my neighbors, and moved back into my childhood bedroom. It felt surreal, like stepping back in time. The commute to work was a nightmare. An hour and a half each way, if traffic was kind. But I gritted my teeth and bore it. This was for Dad, I reminded myself. Dad came home from the hospital a week after I moved back. He was frail, a shadow of his former self. But when he saw me, his face lit up. "My girl," he said, his words slurred but warm. "You're here." Those moments made it worth it. The gratitude in Dad's eyes, the way he'd squeeze my hand when I helped him with his exercises or brought him his meals. It wasn't easy, but it felt right. Mom, on the other hand, that was a different story. Nothing I did seemed to be enough for her. If I cooked, the food was too bland. If I cleaned, I missed a spot. If I spent an extra 5 minutes talking to Dad, I was neglecting my other chores. "Carla, I asked you to do the laundry hours ago," she'd snap. "And have you changed your father's sheets yet?" I bit my tongue. reminding myself that Mom was under a lot of stress. She was working long hours, worried sick about Dad, trying to keep everything together. But still, her constant criticism wore me down. One evening, after a particularly long day at work, followed by hours of household chores, I collapsed onto my bed, utterly exhausted. "Carla!" Mom's shrill voice cut through my moment of peace. "I need you to help your father with his bath." I dragged myself up, ignoring the protest of my aching muscles. As I helped Dad into the bathroom, he patted my hand. "You're a good girl, Carla," he said softly. "Don't know what we'd do without you." I smiled, feeling a lump in my throat. This was why I was here. This was what mattered. But later that night, as I lay in bed listening to Mom complain to someone on the phone about how Carla just doesn't seem to understand how much help we need, I couldn't help but wonder, why am I the only one trying to please everyone? As the days blurred together in an endless cycle of work and caregiving, I couldn't help but notice the glaring absence of my sister, Lily. While I was running myself ragged, Lily was living her best life, untouched by the family crisis. One afternoon, I caught a glimpse of her swanning out the front door, designer handbag swinging from her arm. "Where are you off to?" I called out, elbow deep in dishwater. Lily tossed her hair over her shoulder. "Oh, just meeting the girls for mani-pedis and lunch. Don't wait up." The door slammed behind her, leaving me in stunned silence. I looked down at my prune-like fingers, then at the mountain of chores still waiting for me. The contrast was so stark it was almost laughable. But the worst part? Lily's complete disregard for Dad's condition. She couldn't even bear to be in the same room when I was feeding him. I'd see her wrinkle her nose and dash off to her bedroom, plate in hand, muttering something about not having the stomach for it. One particularly grueling day, after a hellish commute and hours of overtime, I dragged myself home to find Mom in a state. "Carla, where have you been? Your father needs his dinner." I bit back a retort about having to work to pay for said dinner, and quietly went about preparing Dad's meal. As I spooned pureed vegetables into his mouth, careful not to spill a drop, an idea struck me. "Mom," I said cautiously, "have you considered maybe sending Dad to a specialized care facility?" Just for a while, the spoon clattered to the floor as Mom whirled on me, eyes blazing. "How dare you!" she shrieked. "Your own father, after everything we've done for you." "Mom, please listen. They have professionals there. They could help Dad recover faster, maybe even—" "Ungrateful!" Mom cut me off. "I knew it. You just don't want to help us. Well, let me tell you something, Missy. You'll do as I say in this house. If you can't handle it, there's the door." I stayed. I worked. I cooked. I cleaned. I cared for Dad. Every paycheck went straight into Mom's hands, ostensibly for household expenses and medical bills. I was back to being a teenager, asking for an allowance to buy necessities. One evening, as I was scrubbing the kitchen floor, I heard Lily's tinkling laugh from the living room. She was sprawled on the couch, FaceTiming with friends, planning their next shopping spree. "Oh my God, you have to see these shoes I bought today," she gushed. "They cost a fortune, but Daddy's credit card can handle it." I scrubbed harder, my knuckles turning white around the brush handle. Daddy's credit card. The same Daddy who couldn't feed himself. The same Daddy whose medical bills I was helping to pay. It was well past midnight when the front door banged open, startling me awake. I'd fallen asleep on the couch, a half-folded basket of laundry at my feet. Lily's high-pitched giggle echoed through the house, accompanied by a deeper, unfamiliar laugh. "Don't laugh so loud, you'll wake everyone up," Lily stage whispered, not sounding particularly concerned. I rubbed my eyes, squinting at the clock. 2:37 a.m. Great. Lily stumbled into the living room, dragging a tall, scruffy-looking guy behind her. "Oh, Carla!" she exclaimed, as if surprised to find me in my own home. "You're up!" "Meet Brad." Brad gave me a lazy salute. "Sup?" Before I could respond, Lily thrust her left hand in my face. A gaudy diamond ring glittered on her finger. "We're engaged!" she squealed. "Oh, and Brad's moving in. Hope that's cool." I stood there, speechless, as Lily dragged her new fiancé upstairs, leaving me with the echo of her giggles and the faint smell of alcohol. The next morning, I stumbled into the kitchen to find Mom fawning over Lily and Brad. "Oh, sweetie, I'm so happy for you," she gushed, refilling Brad's coffee cup. "You make such a handsome couple." I quietly poured myself some coffee, trying to make sense of this new development. Mom turned to me, her smile fading slightly. "You know, Carla, you should start thinking about settling down, too. You're not getting any younger." I nearly choked on my coffee. "Mom, I'm focusing on my career right now, and helping out here, remember?" Mom's eyes narrowed. She leaned in close, her voice dropping to a stage whisper. "Well, it's not like you have many options anyway. Who'd want such an ugly duckling?" The words hit me like a slap. I was used to Mom's backhanded comments, but this, in front of Brad? I felt my cheeks burn with humiliation. Lily snickered, and Brad looked uncomfortable, suddenly very interested in his coffee mug. I took a deep breath, trying to change the subject. "So, where exactly is Brad going to stay?" "The house is pretty full already, with Dad's medical equipment and all." Lily's eyes flashed. "What's that supposed to mean? You don't want us here?" "No, that's not," I started, but Lily cut me off. "God, Carla, you're so jealous. Just because you can't find a man doesn't mean you have to rain on my parade." I gaped at her. "Jealous? Lily, I'm just trying to be practical. Dad needs—" "Oh, enough about Dad," Lily snapped. "Everything's always about Dad with you. Maybe if you focused on yourself a little more, you wouldn't be so bitter and alone." "Girls, please," Mom interjected, but her stern look was directed solely at me. "Carla, mind your own business. Your sister is happy, and that's what matters." I stood there, stunned into silence. My own business? Wasn't this my business too? This was my home, my family. But looking at the three of them, Mom, Lily, and Brad, I suddenly felt like an outsider. As I got dressed, I could hear them laughing and chatting downstairs. The happy family. And where did I fit in? The ugly duckling, the bitter spinster, the ungrateful daughter. Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, life decided to prove me wrong. Dad suffered another stroke, more severe than the first. This time, he was left almost completely paralyzed. He could still speak, but his words were slurred, barely comprehensible. It broke my heart to see him struggle. With Dad's condition worsening, I hoped, foolishly it turned out, that Lily might step up, that she'd finally realize the gravity of the situation and lend a hand. Boy, was I wrong. "Sorry, sis," Lily said, not sounding sorry at all. "Brad and I are trying to build a life together. We don't have time for all this." She waved her hand dismissively towards Dad's room. I couldn't believe my ears. "Build a life together? Lily, you're living in our parents' house, off their money and my income. The least you could do is help out." Lily's face hardened. "Don't be such a bitch, Carla. It's not our fault Dad got sick." "Girls!" Mom's sharp voice cut through our argument. "That's enough. Lily, dear, don't worry about it. You focus on your relationship. Carla can handle things here." I turned to Mom, incredulous. "Are you serious? Mom, they're not even working. They're just freeloading." Mom's eyes flashed dangerously. "Carla, how dare you? Brad isn't even related to your father. He has no obligation to help, and you should be grateful you can help your family. Some daughter you are, complaining about caring for your own father." Her words hit me like a physical blow. I stood there, mouth agape, as Mom stormed off, Lily smirking behind her. From that day on, life in the house became unbearable. I'd come home from work, exhausted, only to find Lily and Brad blasting music, laughing and carrying on as if it was their own private party pad. They'd leave their mess everywhere. Dirty dishes in the sink, clothes strewn about, empty beer bottles on every surface. And the food. God, the food! I'd spend my Sundays meal prepping, trying to get ahead for the week. but come Monday, all my carefully prepared containers would be empty. More than once, I found myself at work with nothing to eat, my lunch devoured by Lily and Brad's midnight munchies. I tried talking to Mom about it multiple times, but it was like talking to a brick wall. "Mom, please," I begged one evening, after finding yet another empty fridge. "Can't you talk to Lily? This isn't fair. They're just existing at our expense." "Not everyone is like you, Carla," Mom snapped. "Not everyone can be Miss Independent, working themselves to the bone. Lily's still finding herself. If you're so concerned about money, maybe you should pick up some overtime." I stared at her, disbelief warring with fury in my chest. "Overtime? Mom, I'm already working 60-hour weeks. I'm taking care of Dad, running the household, and apparently feeding 4 adults on my salary alone. When exactly am I supposed to sleep?" Mom waved off my concerns. "You're young. You can handle it. Now stop obsessing over your sister and focus on your own responsibilities." I walked away from that conversation feeling like I'd stepped into the twilight zone. How had this become my life? When had I become the bad guy for expecting basic decency and contribution from my own family? The days blurred together in an endless cycle of work, chores, and caregiving. I was exhausted, physically and emotionally drained. More and more, I found myself daydreaming about my old life, my tiny apartment, the blessed silence, the freedom. God, how I missed it. One night, after a particularly trying day, I broached the subject with Mom. "Mom, I've been thinking," I started cautiously. "Maybe we should consider hiring a nurse again. I could move back to my place, but still help out financially and visit often." Mom's face crumpled. "How can you even suggest that? After everything we've done for you?" I blinked, taken aback. "Everything you've done for me?" "You're so heartless, Carla," Mom wailed, tears springing to her eyes. "How can you abandon your father like this? It's your duty to help us. Your duty!" Guilt washed over me, dousing my resolve like a bucket of cold water. I'd never been good at standing up to Mom's tears. "I'm sorry," I mumbled. "You're right. I'll stay." And so I did. I stayed and I helped, and I endured, until the day everything changed. I came home from work, bone-tired as usual, to find Lily lounging in the hallway, a self-satisfied smirk on her face. "Oh, good, you're home," she chirped. "I've got a surprise for you." Alarm bells rang in my head. Lily's surprises were never good news for me. She led me to my room, or what used to be my room. I stood in the doorway, shocked into silence. All my things were gone, replaced by racks of clothes, shoes, and makeup. My bedroom had been transformed into a walk-in closet. What is this?" I finally managed to sputter. Lily beamed. "Isn't it great? Now I have space for all my things." "But where are my things? Where am I supposed to sleep?" Lily's smile turned condescending. "Oh, don't worry. We put your stuff in some boxes in the garage. You can sleep on the couch in the living room. I mean, you're basically the help now, right? You don't need a whole room." Something in me snapped. For the first time in my life, I saw red. I stormed into the kitchen, where Mom was preparing dinner. "Mom!" I shouted, my voice shaking with rage. "Did you know about this? Lily's taken over my room. She says I have to sleep on the couch." Mom barely looked up from her cooking. "Yes, dear. Lily needs the space for her things. You'll be fine on the couch." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Fine on the couch? Mom, I live here too. I work here. I take care of Dad. I run this household. And now I don't even get a room?" Mom sighed, like I was being particularly difficult. "Carla, your sister deserves a nice dressing room. You're barely here anyway, always at work. The couch will do just fine." I stood there, trembling with anger and disbelief. Then a thought struck me. Dad. Dad would understand. Dad would take my side. I marched to his room, Mom trailing behind me. Dad was propped up in bed, his eyes following our movement. "Dad," I said, fighting to keep my voice steady. "Lily's taken over my room. She and Mom say I have to sleep on the couch now. After everything I've done, all the care I've given you, they're treating me like I don't even live here. I waited for Dad to protest, to defend me, to show some appreciation for all I'd sacrificed. Instead, he smiled weakly and said in his slurred speech, "It's okay, Carla. Lily needs the space. You're a good girl, you understand." I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Mom nodded approvingly. "See?" she said. "Your father agrees. Besides, you're only here temporarily. Once he's better, you'll move out again anyway." I stood there, frozen in disbelief. The shock of my father's words, my mother's casual dismissal of my feelings, it all crashed over me like a tidal wave. In that moment, something inside me shattered. Without a word, I turned on my heel and marched out of Dad's room. I could hear Mom calling after me, but I didn't stop. I couldn't stop. My feet carried me to the garage, where I found my life unceremoniously packed away in cardboard boxes. My hands were shaking as I started pulling out suitcases, shoving clothes and personal items inside. I didn't bother folding anything. I just needed to get out. "Carla? Carla, what are you doing?" Mom's voice cut through the haze of my fury. I didn't look up from my packing. "What does it look like I'm doing? I'm leaving." "Don't be ridiculous," Mom snapped. "You can't leave. Your father needs you. We need you." I barked out a laugh, harsh and humorless. "Oh, you need me all right. You need my money. You need my labor. But you don't need me. Not the real me." "Stop being so dramatic," Mom said, her voice rising. "I forbid you to leave this house." That made me pause. I straightened up, looking my mother in the eye. "Forbid me? I'm an adult, Mom. You can't forbid me to do anything. I'm not sleeping on a couch like some beggar in my own home. I'm done being your personal maid and ATM. I'm done with the ingratitude, the disrespect, all of it." Mom's face paled. But your father, you can't abandon him like this. Maybe you could rent an apartment nearby? You could still come over to help, to cook and clean." I stared at her, incredulous. Even now, she was still trying to use me. "No," I said, my voice firm. "No, I won't be doing that. I'm done helping. I'm done communicating. I'm just done." I shouldered past her, dragging my suitcase behind me. As I reached the front door, I turned back one last time. "And Lily? Your precious baby girl who can do no wrong? She's a leech, and you're letting her bleed you dry. But that's your problem now, not mine." Mom's face contorted with rage. "How dare you? After everything we've done for you, you ungrateful little—" I slammed the door, cutting off her tirade. My hand was shaking as I pulled out my phone and called a cab. As I waited on the front step, suitcase by my side, I could hear Mom's muffled shouts through the door. "Scoundrel! Ingrate! How could you do this to your family?" Family. The word tasted bitter in my mouth. Was this really what family was supposed to be? The cab pulled up, and I loaded my suitcase into the trunk. As we pulled away from the curb, I didn't look back. I couldn't bear to see the house that had once been my home, the place where I'd given everything only to be treated like nothing. I found a small studio apartment across town. It wasn't much, but it was mine. That first night, sleeping on a hastily purchased air mattress, I felt a weight lift off my chest. For the first time in months, I could breathe. The peace lasted exactly 3 days. I was scrolling through social media on my lunch break when I saw it. A post from Mom. There was Dad, looking frail in his hospital bed. The caption made my blood run cold. "Pray for us. Our eldest daughter has cruelly abandoned us in our time of need. How could she do this to her dying father?" The comments flooded in, relatives and family friends expressing shock and disgust at my supposed heartlessness. I felt sick. But then something snapped. Enough was enough. I wrote my own post, laying out the whole ugly truth. The months of thankless labor, the financial drain, Lily's freeloading, the room theft. "I never wanted it to come to this," I wrote, "but I won't be painted as the villain in someone else's story." The response was immediate. The tide of public opinion turned. Suddenly, I was flooded with messages of support, apologies from those who'd been quick to judge. It should have felt like vindication. Instead, I just felt tired. Weeks passed. I threw myself into work, trying to rebuild my savings. But guilt nagged at me. Had I done the right thing? Should I have stayed, no matter the cost to myself? Then, the call came. Dad had passed away. "This is your fault," Mom spat through the phone. "Don't you dare show your face at the funeral." I didn't. I sat in my apartment, alternating between tears and numbness, mourning not just my father, but the family I'd lost long before his death. Time marched on. 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. I worked hard, saved every penny. Finally, I had enough for a down payment on a small, cozy apartment of my own. No more renting, no more instability. I was building my own future, brick by brick. And then, another call. Mom's voice, older now, tinged with desperation. "Carla? We need your help. We had to sell the house, Lily's debts, and Brad left her. We have nowhere to go. Can we stay with you? Just until we get back on our feet?" I closed my eyes, memories washing over me. The sleepless nights, the thankless days, the constant demands, the casual cruelty. "No," I said, my voice calm and firm. "I'm sorry, but no. Please don't call again." I ended the call, my hand shaking slightly as I set down the phone. For a moment, I sat there, half expecting guilt to overwhelm me. But it didn't come. Instead, I felt peace. The peace of knowing my worth. The peace of setting boundaries. The peace of choosing myself.